Now, I understand that mix-ups happen, especially during the workplace, but this mix-up that my boss did, honestly, I think was on purpose.
You get no bitches!
I don't know why, but let's just say things got really awkward to the point where I had to get fired. What is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another crazy but also super embarrassing story.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
So today's story all takes place back when I was actually just graduating high school. That's right, I was 18, turning 19, and honestly, life was really all over the place for me. I didn't know if I wanted to be a YouTuber. I didn't know if I wanted to be a content creator.
Are you fucking dumb?
Know if I even wanted to be a streamer. But one thing was for sure was that those things weren't paying the bills at the time, so I ended up doing something else, which was a basic job that most people have nowadays. Now, I'm not hating on people that have a regular job. If anything, having a job shows you responsibility and also shows that you're independent. But let's just say I ended up getting this one job that was way more weirder than I thought it was.
Please just hear me out, please.
You see, back when I was 19, I was still living at my parents' place, and I wanted to figure out a cool way to make money quick. So instead of making videos, I thought, hey, why don't I, go and get a job in sales? Because at the time, I ended up watching this movie called Wolf of Wall Street, where it was about a guy who basically made sales and I guess was a big thing in the stock market. I don't know. If you guys never seen the movie, watch it. It's actually really inspiring.
No.
Other than the really weird stuff with Margaret Robbie, but she's hot, so it's totally okay.
This feels a lot like hell.
Oh, fuck yeah! This is the shit! Kill me now!
And I remember I ended up basically watching that movie and I got inspired to get into sales. So I ended up calling up one of my friends that was in sales, and I told him, yo, bro.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
I was just wondering, like, does your job have like a job opening at all for me to like, get into? Yeah, man. Why? You trying to be in sales? Yeah, like I seen like you bought a new car recently and stuff, and I'm just trying to get more money in my pocket. Okay, yeah, here, I can set up a meeting with my manager if you want. Yeah, sure, that'd be awesome. And from there, I remember literally the next week after, I got ready for my first job interview being in sales. I remember I got my suit and tie on, and I ended up going to this job place, and when I did, I remember I ended up walking in there, and I said, hi, I'm here for the job interview. Oh, you must be Bubba. Yeah, I'm looking for the boss. Oh, the boss is me. You're the manager? At this moment, I was shocked. And the reason I was shocked is not because women can't be bosses, but at the same time, this woman looked basically like my age, except she was a bit older, and she was super attractive. Like, her cherries were bigger than Saturn.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
If you guys don't know what that means, then you know what? Don't worry about it. But I remember I saw this and I'm like, whoa, like she looks great. She's hot. You know what? I think this job interview is going to be super easy because I had a plan to basically flirt with her to make her hire me.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
It's kind of a weird way of doing things, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, if they like you and you like them, automatically you get benefit. Am I right or am I right? So I remember we started doing this job interview. She asked me questions, I answer, the basic stuff. But then she ends up making a comment saying, oh, so I have a question. Do you like naturally know how to wear a suit and tie, or are you just doing that for today? Oh no, I wear suits all the time. My dad's into old fashioned, so am I. He kind of raised us as an old fashioned family. Oh, that's really awesome. Oh my goodness, that's really attractive, actually. I mean, not as attractive as you, but yeah, I could see it happening. I remember when I made that comment, her eyes went wide open and she was actually like blushing. At that moment, I knew I was definitely in. And right away, as I was about to leave my job interview, she ends up standing up as well saying, oh, Bubba, before you leave, I just want to let you know you're definitely hired. Sweet. When do I start? Well, that's the thing. I need you to book a ticket. A ticket? For what? Oh, well, we're going to Vegas, and I basically have like a business meeting down there, but I need an assistant. It will pay good if you want to go. Yeah, I can go. At this moment, I was in major shock because not only did I get the job, but I had a trip to Vegas to go to. So I remember I got home that day and I ended up getting transferred a bunch of money to basically go and book my flight. So I ended up sitting on my laptop, booking my flight in my kitchen. And I remember my dad comes up to me. My dad comes up to me saying, Bubba, what are you doing? Why are you looking at flights to Vegas? Oh, well, I got a job and I have to go to Vegas. Bubba, why do you have to go work in Vegas? What are you gonna do? Oh, I got hired for sales and my manager needs an assistant to go with. Okay, is this actually a job or is this like something you guys made up? No, it's a real job, Dad. Okay, because I don't want to hear you calling me saying that you're stuck in Vegas. You understand? Oh, no, I understand. Don't worry, Dad. This is a totally real job. Which, to be fair, my dad was worried about me. And I don't blame him for being worried because, well, when your son that's like literally 19 is about to travel to a different country. By the way, I'm in Canada if you guys did not know that. Some of you guys don't know, but I'm a Canadian. So knowing that I was going to go to a different country, especially in the country that is one of the most dangerous countries in the world, other than, you know, those countries are, you know, actually more dangerous. I gotta say, it was actually pretty concerning for my father. But I told him everything was going to be fine. And to trust me. And when I showed him that I got transferred money into my account for the trip, he felt more reassurance. I remember from there, I booked my flight and I ended up calling up my buddy and I told him, yo, bro, I booked my flight to Vegas. I'm going. Wait, what? You got the Vegas trip? Yeah, she wanted me to go with her. Bubba, are you sure you should be going to Vegas for your first, like, you know, job? Well, I mean, it's just Vegas. I don't see how crazy it could be. Have you ever been to Vegas? No. Okay, well, Bubba, one thing you should remember. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And at that moment, he hangs up angrily. I have no idea why, and I'm actually was really confused on why he was so upset. But honestly, I started to understand more and more as days went on. Because as days went on, I remember my manager would always call me randomly at random moments, telling me to, you know, make sure she remembers certain things. It even got to a point where I had to get notes on my phone just to make sure that I didn't forget anything because she was telling me so much about her life and stuff she had to do. Like, for example, she was going through a divorce. She had a kid to take care of. She had so much money that she had to launder, or not launder, but I guess put in other businesses and invest in. I don't know. It was a whole lot of stuff that honestly was super puzzling and all over the place.
Oh my God, I don't fucking care.
But then finally came the day of our Vegas trip. I remember we ended up meeting up at the airport and my father dropped me off. And when I got inside the airport, I remember seeing my boss there and she was there wearing the most tightest, hottest outfit ever. Well, I'm wearing basically sweatpants and a sweatshirt with a hoodie on, kind of just chilling because, you know, usually when I go and take a trip to an airport, I usually wear sweats or like a onesie of some sorts. Not an actual onesie, but you know what I mean. Something comfortable on the plane. But she was wearing a full-on tight suit, and I remember she ended up like meeting up with me and said, oh, Bubba, here, let me see the tickets you bought. And she saw that I bought economy. At this moment, she was upset at me. I have no idea why, but she was so upset at me. She said, Bubba, follow me. I'm not allowing this. Wait, what do you mean? I booked the flight for the same plane. Yeah, but I'm in business class. You're in economy, Bubba. Well, yeah, but that's okay. Bubba, no, we're gonna go upgrade your ticket right now. Follow me. At this moment, I got worried because I knew I could not afford getting a business flight. Honestly, she ends up going to the front desk and upgrading my ticket for me. And she paid over $2,000 just for me to upgrade my ticket.
Holy shit!
I was mind blown. I will say this, it was the first time ever when I decided a plane with her and me and her were sitting in first class right beside each other. It got to the point where she even offered me a drink. I didn't know if I was actually allowed to drink at that time because drinking age in Canada is 18 and 19. In America, it's 21. So knowing I was on the plane, literally hovering between the two, did that mean I was allowed to drink or not? I don't know. Comment down below what you guys think. But
This feels a lot like hell.
I started to worry, and I remember finally when we landed, I was pretty out of it. But as for my manager, she was as well. But me and her, we ended up getting an Uber, and we ended up heading over to the hotel that we were staying at. And this is where everything gets super awkward.
Oh no, gringe.
I remember when we got to the hotel, she ends up going to the front desk and making sure that our rooms are ready. Remember, I said rooms, but I forgot to book the hotel. So she ended up booking it right then and there at that moment. And when we got inside the hotel room, I remember I thought there was going to be like 2 separate rooms, 2 separate beds. No, actually it was a total opposite. It was 1 room with 1 bed and a shared bathroom that was literally connected to the bedroom.
It's making me cringe.
Like, no joke, like if you're sitting on the bed, you could easily see who's sitting on the toilet. It was super weird, and I didn't know why Vegas had this, but apparently it was a romantic suite that we ended up getting. And at that moment, I was looking around and I was like, where am I sleeping? Oh, Baba, don't worry about it. You can sleep on the bed. Oh, okay. Where are you gonna sleep? On the bed, silly. We're sharing a bed? Why, do you have a problem with that? No, I don't. I just didn't expect us to share a bed. Well, it's okay. I mean, like, you know, you're 19 and you're attractive and everything's gonna be okay. At this moment, she got closer and closer to me to the point where it was pretty clear she had other intentions with me. And let's just say that that day, she wasn't only my boss. She was also my booty call.
Baby, hand me the shotgun. I got it here. You go upstairs. Thank you.
I hope you bulletproof for this about to hurt.
Which sounds really bad and I should not say. YouTube, don't demonetize this.
Hello everyone, it is me, the Great Papyrus, and I'm going to be teaching you how to cook some amazing frozen hot dogs. Holy shit!
I swear I'm just, you know, saying things at this point, and I meant this in the most positive, most PG way. But yeah, no, it was really awkward because, well, one thing led to another. We ended up turning on the TV, sitting beside each other, and then we ended up doing the Devil's Tango. Because she apparently needed to be not wearing anything to be comfortable to sleep. Yeah, that was really awkward. Anyways, though, that ends up happening. And the next morning when we wake up, I remember I ended up getting a phone call. And I woke up to the phone and I answered it and I said, hey, like, what's going on? Bubba, it's me, yo. What's happened? Are you waking up right now? Yeah, dude, it's early. What is it? Oh, well, can you tell the manager that I need her to answer her phone? Huh? Yeah, she's right beside me. Just give me 1 sec. Wait, what? She's right beside you? At that moment, I remembered I said too much and he started to realize that me and my manager were sleeping in the same bed. At that moment, I remember my manager gets up and she just hangs up the phone instantly. And the thing she said to me was the same thing my friend told me a while ago. Bubba, one thing you need to remember, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And at that moment, I remember from that day on, I never said a word about what happened at Vegas. I couldn't. There was no way I was going to tell anybody I did it with my manager. Well, to be fair, I decided not to say anything till, I guess, my channel. This is my YouTube channel. Welcome. Crazy stories all the time. But anyways, if you guys think I'm lying and think I'm crazy, then just fall for more embarrassing stories.
No.
Just like this one. I remember it was just me and her at the office.
Now I gotta pull up. Everybody dying, me included. I ain't going to jail.
And I remember she walked up to me and said, Bubba, do you need help with that paperwork? As she slowly grabs my thigh, I knew it was time.
It's making me cringe.
Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to a super embarrassing, but I gotta say, really weird story. So this story all takes place right after high school, and this was my grade 12 year.
Are you fucking dumb?
Now in grade 12, I remember one thing I really wanted to do was work in a normal space. Meaning that I didn't want to do like, you know, any restaurant work or any other sort of work, but I kind of wanted to have a work where I would just have to sit down and just kind of just work on a computer. Kind of like what I do now. As a YouTuber. But obviously, it wasn't easy to come by. I remember I ended up getting some cell phone service job where basically I would sit down and do customer support at this office area. That was a really cool place. I'm not gonna say which company it was because I do not want to get in serious legal trouble with them, but you guys can comment down below and take a wild guess of which one.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Going on from there, I remember basically when I went to apply there, it was a pretty good workspace. I remember it was basically everything I wanted, where it was just little cubicles, everyone working in offices, and just being on the phone 80% of the time. And me, I remember when I walked in there, I instantly got an interview because they were instantly hiring people since it was such a big company. And I sat down with this woman. Now this woman, she was like not actually the manager of the place, but she was like someone that did the interviews. And I remember when I sat down with her in a really nice suit, she looked at me and said, "Oh, so you just graduated high school, I see on your resume." Yeah, you know, I'm just trying to, you know, get a cool job, I guess. And I always wanted to kind of work in an office. Okay, that's good. Wow, you have a really good voice, by the way. Thank you. Instantly at that moment, when she flirted with me saying that I had a really nice voice, I found this very odd, but at the same time, I guess many people find my voice, well, I guess better than most, which is pretty amazing.
Excuse me, what the actual fuck are you doing in my house?
And thank you for everyone that likes my voice. But going on with the story, I remember the interview went on, but every time she saw something on my resume, she planned to compliment me about it. Like, for example, she saw that I worked at a restaurant and she said, oh, so you must have like really good hands, don't you, to cook some food? Honestly, it was super awkward and I didn't know what to say nor what to do. I kind of just nodded my head and agreed. And I remember after the interview was over, I ended up basically standing up and walking away down this hallway that led to the exit. And as I was walking to the exit, out of nowhere, this girl runs to me and sprints over to me saying, oh, Bubba, I just want to say you did get hired. Are you cool to start Monday? I remember I looked at her and smiled and I'm like, yeah, I can work Monday. Okay, cool. Here's my number and yeah, good luck. And at that point, I knew I got the job. Now, number one piece of advice I'm going to give you guys, don't poop where you eat. Meaning that if you guys work at a workplace, don't go for a girl or a guy that works with you. Because, well, at that point, if something happens, like for example, you guys break up or things get really awkward, you're going to have to see it every day at work. Wow! And well, me, that kind of became the case. But before that happens, I remember on Monday when I went for my first day of work, I went in there and I sat down and I basically, you know, wore a nice suit and I basically like started working on this computer. And as I was sitting there, I remember I didn't really know how to use the computer or actually start work because
Are you fucking dumb?
it was my first day. So I'm just sitting at this computer desk, totally confused on what in the world am I supposed to do? I started looking around really cutely and I kind of just started wondering, how do I start this? And out of nowhere, there was a guy that saw me and he was like sitting across from me and he looked at me and said, yo, bro, is this your first day at the job? Yeah. How do you know? Nothing. It's just very noticeable when someone starts their first day. Here, you might need help. Just call your manager up. I never actually met my manager yet. Oh, you didn't? Well, just call up the person that interviewed you. So at that moment, I remember I ended up grabbing my phone and I called the girl that hired me in the first. And when she answered the phone, instantly she said, oh, I was wondering when you were gonna call me for the job. Yeah, for the job, silly. Are you at the office already? Yeah, I'm just waiting right now. I don't really know what to do. Can you help me out? I'll be there in 2 minutes. I'm just in my office. 2 minutes go by and she shows up and instantly at that moment, she starts like, you know, basically showing me what to do at the office and how I'm supposed to answer calls and all this stuff that cell phone places usually do. And I remember the whole time when she was showing me how to do things, she would kind of like get really close to me to the point where she would kind of like grab my arm and in a way also like, I don't know, just kind of get too touchy with me.
Oh no, gringe.
As we were just both sitting in this office space. I found this really weird and I kind of got really weirded out and I'm like, yo, is everything okay? Like, are you good? Yeah, I'm good. Are you good? Do you understand everything? No, yeah, I do understand everything. I'm just, you know, curious. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna start work then. She got up and left afterwards and that's when I started working. Now, one thing I'm gonna say to you guys is that I'm a workaholic, meaning that I like to work. And me, I would work so much to the point where I'm not joking. I would always do more than I usually should have. Actually, the first week of me working there, I think I was basically helping more customers and doing way more than anyone else at the office. And a lot of people started recognizing that. Obviously, people started not liking me because of this, but at the same time, though, it led to one girl specifically that liked me a lot and always came up to me during the week. And that was the girl that hired me. She always walked up to me, got really close to me, and she always kept flirting with me. And it got to a point where one day, she actually ended up putting her finger on my lips and shushing me because apparently I was talking to too many customers. I have really no idea. It was super awkward how she would do this, and a lot of people in the office started noticing this as well. And it got to a point where I remember one time, the guy that was sitting across from me looks at me and says, you're a interviewer, the person that hired you. She's really into you, eh?
Don't care. Don't care. Still don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, I guess she likes me, I guess. I don't know. I guess I'm a good worker. Nah, dude. Everyone was once a good worker. But for you, she gets really close to you. Something tells me she likes you a lot. Okay, cool. At this moment, I kind of understood what he was saying. But at the same time, once again, I had a golden rule where I would not poop where I eat. So I kind of like kept my distance. And Till Friday came along. I remember it was the day Friday, and it was a Friday night, and basically I was working the late shift. And I was working such a late shift to the point where, I'm not gonna lie, I actually ended up staying in the office longer than like most people. It got to the point where actually everyone went home before me, and it was super late, and I thought I got to a point where I was alone at the office because I heard no noises when I was done talking to customers. And as I'm just sitting there really weirdly, just kind of like figuring out what I should do,
Are you fucking dumb?
and you know, if I should keep working or call it a day, out of nowhere I ended up hearing someone say, "Bubba, you're still here?" Yeah, I was just, you know, finishing up some work, I guess. Why are you here? Oh, I always do the late shift, silly. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, she was definitely lying when she said that, because I've never seen her work a late night shift in my life. But then afterwards, I say, "Oh, okay, well, cool. It's good to know I'm not alone." "Yeah, no, I agree. It's good that you're here." Okay, cool. At this moment, I didn't really know what to say because once again, it was a really awkward moment for me. But then she ends up getting up and leaving. And I remember I was actually just gonna get ready to go home. So I remember I started kind of packing my bag that I had, and I put my like previous lunch that I had earlier in there, and I started like putting everything away. And then that's when it happened. She ends up walking down to my office, and she ends up looking at me saying, "Bubba, I need to tell you something." And then afterwards, she ended up putting her hand on my thigh and sitting on my lap and started making out with me.
It's making me cringe.
My mind was blown when she did this, and I was like, what is going on? And out of nowhere, I am not joking, we ended up basically clearing everything off the desk except the computer monitor, obviously. And me and her, we ended up doing the Devil's Tango.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
At the office. I am not joking. It was so crazy. It was like a movie. It was literally like a movie scene. Like, I was so in shock. And I remember I looked at her and said, are you sure we should be doing this right now? Just don't worry about it, silly. And we keep going. This happens for like, I want to say like the next hour and a half.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
And reminder, I didn't even get to clock out yet. So these hours that I was doing the Devil's Tango, I was basically getting paid for, which is insane to me. Because I remember as me and her were still doing it, out of nowhere, we ended up finding a late night janitor walking around the corner, and he saw us both and said, "Hey, what are you guys doing over there?" I remember me and her, we instantly just like got off each other and we started putting on our clothes as fast as we could. And I looked at the janitor saying, "Oh, nothing, just late night stuff." "Okay, well, you and your work wife gotta go home. It's too late for you guys to be here still." Okay, yeah, no, we're heading home right now," is what I said afterwards. I was so embarrassed, and I remember as I was walking to my car, the janitor kept watching us to make sure we actually went home. But as I was about to start my car, out of nowhere, I see the girl that did the Devil's Tango.
Baby, hand me the shotgun. I got it here. You go upstairs. Thank you. I hope you bulletproof for this about to hurt.
With me at the office, looked at me and said, "Bubba, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if it's gonna be easy for us to work here after that." Well, I don't know, just pretend that never happened, I guess. And that's when I drove off. And what happened the next day, I gotta say, really ruined everything for me. Because I remember the next day I went to work and everyone was there. It was a full shift, but everyone was whispering and everything. And every time I saw this girl that, you know, I did the Devil's Tango.
Alright, I get it!
With yesterday come around me, she would look at me and start like biting her lips in a really weird way. And at that point, I'm not gonna lie to you, everyone in the office knew what happened, but I didn't know how they knew until out of nowhere, the actual manager that I actually never got to meet ends up walking up to me and he says, "Hey, Bubba, can I speak to you for a second in my office?" Yeah, sure. Me and him, we end up going to his office, and when we sat down together, he says, "So we caught this on the security tapes last night. I don't know what to say or what to explain to you, but I'm sorry, we're gonna have to let you go." Yeah, I got fired. I've heard your cries and worries, and yes, this is the final episode of the last 2 episodes I made on my manager that was on the Devil's Hub. So let's get this story started. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support on this series of videos. Honestly, I never thought I'd be making a full-on 3-episode series or parts on YouTube, especially for full stories. But let's just get this final video done and done with. But before I do, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Seriously, 1,000 likes and I'll start another crazy series like this one. And on top of that, make sure you guys also do show love and support on Twitch. I'm currently live as we speak, probably talking about more crazy stories that will eventually show up on this channel. So link in the description down below for that one. Other than that, let's finish this insane story. What is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba and welcome back to another crazy story. So like I said earlier, if you guys haven't seen the last 2 episodes, you guys probably should. I'll make a playlist on it down below as you guys are watching this. So there you go. I made a playlist. But anyways, going on. This is the final episode of the manager story. That was on the Devil's Hub. And
Was that supposed to be a joke? Cause I'm not laughing.
all starts off like this. I remember after ignoring so many calls from my manager to the point where I never showed up to that cafe again for work. One day randomly at my doorstep at home, I remember my mom ended up bringing an envelope downstairs that said to Arash Baba Moini. If you
Baba Booey.
guys don't know, my full name is actually Arash Baba Moini. It's not just Bubba. Bubba's my legal middle name. Yes, I know it's weird, but there's a story for that. And you know, that's a story for another day. But going on, I remember she hands me this envelope and I remember I opened it right in front of her. When I opened it, I saw it was my last paycheck, but not only my last paycheck from the cafe, there was also a note with it. I remember I opened the note and I remember it was written in a really weird way. It was written with nice handwriting saying, to Arash Baba Moini. Hey, I just wanted to make sure you get your final paycheck for work. I apologize what happened at my house. I did not expect my mother to be that way, and I just wanted to say I really enjoyed your company. You were amazing, you were awesome, and honestly, I apologize for whatever happened, and I hope someday I could see you soon. If so, here's my time and address for when you can next see me. And she put down a place that was like 10 minutes away from the cafe, and that she wanted to see me. Now at that point, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I mean, you know, her daughter wasn't that bad.
Please, please just hear me out, please.
Hell, her daughter was my friend when I worked at the cafe, if you guys do remember back at the, you know, first episode of this storyline. So I said, you know what? Sure. Like, might as well just go talk to her and, you know, clear things up with her. It's that closure that she wanted. And I'm willing to give that closure because I am an understanding person, guys. Okay? I'm not just crazy. So I remember when that day came around, I remember I ended up getting my things and I ended up driving over there and I ended up seeing her. I ended up seeing her daughter, funny enough, sitting at a park bench. So when I walked up to her and I sat down at the park bench and I'm like, hey, like, are you feeling all right? She looks at me and she starts crying. She's like, hey, like, I need to be brutally honest with you about something. I looked at her and I said, what? And she tells me something that I did not want to know. She said, well, remember that time when me and you did the Devil's Tango?
Now I gotta pull up. Everybody dying, me included. I ain't going to jail.
And you were like in handcuffs? I end up looking at her, I'm like, yeah, I remember that day very clearly. That's why I'm here right now. She told me, well, like, my mom actually has the footage. I end up looking at her, I'm like, what? Are you serious right now? She ends up looking at me, she's like, yeah, and like, my mom has like something to request from you. So at that point, I'm like, wait a minute. So you're telling me that instead of wanting closure and being a nice person, you wanted me to come all the way down here so your mom could blackmail me? So your mom that is on the Devil's Hub could blackmail me? Are you serious right now? She ends up like, you know, being all weird and she's like, yeah, like, I don't know what else to do and stuff. So like, honestly, like, my mom wanted me to hand you this note. So her daughter ends up handing me this note and ends up walking away. And I remember when she walked away, she went into this other guy's car, which apparently was her boyfriend now, which was absolutely absurd. And then I remember I opened the note and said, hey, big boy, I know it was a hard way to reach you to get this, but honestly, I want you to come visit me at my house at this time specifically. She put a time in for like 10:30 at night. 10:30 at night. Reminder, guys, I was still a teen. I was still a young person, bro.
This feels a lot like hell.
So I remember I'm like, okay, this is really weird, but you know, I gotta do what I gotta do. Because no one has footage of me and my massive eggplant and basically me doing the Devil's Tango. With her own damn daughter? Yeah, right. I'm not gonna let that slide. So I remember I ended up getting my vehicle and I ended up going to meet with her. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of prepared myself and put a knife on my back pocket. Guys, don't carry knives, don't carry weapons. It's not a good idea, but you never know what's gonna happen in these situations. And I remember I walked up to the door and rang the doorbell. But before I could ring it, she actually answered the door and said, hey, like, you're finally back. Welcome. I was kind of like, you know, like looking at her and I'm like, hey, we need to talk, okay? Because this is getting way out of hand. And I'm going to be honest, like, we shouldn't even have this situation happen to us. She ends up saying, oh, just come in. We can talk all about it over tea. Yeah, right. We were not going to drink tea. She wanted some, you know, Devil's Tango.
Please, please just hear me out, please.
But I walked in anyway. I walked in and I sat down on the couch with her and we ended up talking. We're like, you know, I told her, hey, so your daughter told me that you had the footage of me and her doing the Devil's Tango. And I would really like you if you just deleted it. Because honestly, it's not cool to have that. I don't even know if it's legal for you to have that. She ends up looking at me. She's like, of course it's legal. Like, it's clearly that you enjoyed it. And she turned on the TV and it was literally the footage. It was literally the footage of me and her doing the Devil's Tango.
I get it!
So I remember I ended up grabbing the TV remote off her hand and I literally turned off the TV and I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do? Because at this point, this is making me sick. She ends up looking at me and she ends up walking up to me and she's putting my chest on her chest and she's like, I think you know what I want. And as she does that, she puts her hand up my thigh and grabs my eggplant. Now, guys, if this doesn't say run, I don't know what does. So I remember I looked at her and I'm like, okay, you know what? There's only one thing I can do. I looked at her and I said, can I use the bathroom? Yeah, I literally did say that. Well, I don't know what you guys were expecting me to do. No, I wasn't going to do the Devil's Tango with her mom. There was no way I'm letting that happen, guys. Even though I do a lot of crazy things and do a lot of the Devil's Tango. In the real world out there, I'm not doing it with a full-grown mother, okay? Like, especially one that's on the hub. So I remember what I ended up doing was I ended up actually going to the bathroom. When I did, I developed a plan. I developed a plan to get out of there safely and make sure I got away with that tape. Knowing the tape was already inside the USB drive connected to the playable TV thingy or whatever it's called. I think it's called like a VCR or something. I don't know. But knowing it was connected to that, I remember I had a way to get out of there and grab it and leave, hoping that was the only copy.
FBI, open up!
I mean, if it wasn't, then I don't know. I could be probably on the hub somewhere right now and I wouldn't even know. But going on, I remember I developed a plan. So what I did was I went back downstairs and I played along. I walked up to her. I walked up close to her. And I won't lie to you guys. I did end up making out with her.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
I made out with her. I pushed her on the couch. And when she was pushed on the couch, she was expecting me to hop on with her to do the Devil's Tango. But I took a different route. I instantly turned around. I grabbed the USB drive and I sprinted out of the house. As I was sprinting out of the house, I remember the mom was like chasing after me, but knowing she was in high heels, there was no way she could catch me. I ran out of the house. I jumped in my car and I remember she was slamming her like hands on my window as if she was gonna break my damn window. And I remember I drove out of there instantly. Like I booted it. I remember when I booted, I was driving so fast to the point where I was like panicking. And I remember I got the USB drive, thankfully. And when I did, I remember I ended up going home. I ended up putting the USB drive onto my computer that I had at home. And I opened it, watched it one last time because I'm not gonna lie, it was actually kind of hot to see. Like,
FBI, open up!
if you guys did end up, you know, seeing that video, like, damn, it was actually pretty cool. And then I ended up deleting it. I deleted the video and I made sure that it didn't exist anymore in this world. Honestly, I felt so much relief after that. Knowing I've been through all that was insane. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. You guys are probably thinking, oh, like, why didn't you just call the cops? Like, don't be so weird and dumb, baba. And you guys are right. I could have called the cops. But at the same time, I'm not gonna lie. Back when I was a kid, I wasn't a fan of cops. No one was. Hell, I remember half of my school was always, you know, saying like, F12 gang, you know, talking all that weird stuff, and me, I was never a fan of them, so I didn't call the cops. But other than that, that is basically it for the end of the story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel.
No.
If you haven't already, I'm happy to finally end this series off, and like I always say, fall for more embarrassing stories. All right, peace out, guys.
Hello everyone, it is me, the Great Papyrus, and I'm going to be teaching you how to cook some amazing frozen hot dogs. Holy shit!